On April 20th, 1933, the White House threw a dinner party. In attendance were Mr. and Mrs. George Putnam. You may not know publisher and author Putnam, but I bet you know his wife, aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart. A year earlier, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt met the aviatrix, dubbed the First Lady of the Air, after Earhart made history with her record-breaking, nonstop transatlantic flight. The two became fast friends. Both were fascinated by aviation. Roosevelt had even applied for and received a student pilot's license just a short time before, and were mutually engaged in world peace and women's rights movements. The dinner was boring and stuffy, and Earhart pitched an idea to the First Lady. What if they flew the coop? Literally. The two stereotype-shattering women gathered a few other co-conspirators, including Eleanor's brother, Hall, commercial aviation pioneer Eugene Vidal and his wife Nina, parents of author and intellectual Gore Vidal, and Thomas Wardwell Doe, the president of Eastern Air Transport. They excused themselves and hightailed it for the airport, where they commandeered one of Doe's Eastern Air Transport twin-engine Curtiss Condors. With Earhart at the controls and Roosevelt beside her in the co-pilot seat, they flew to Baltimore, Maryland, and back, still clad in their formal silk evening gowns and white gloves. Earhart let the First Lady take the controls for a large part of the journey. When they landed, the Secret Service was waiting for them on the tarmac, and they were strongly encouraged to abandon their spontaneous escapade and return to the White House for dessert. The next day, the First Lady told the Baltimore Sun that, quote, "I'd love to do it myself. I make no bones about it. It does mark an epoch, doesn't it, when a girl in an evening dress and slippers can pilot a plane at night." Though Earhart promised to teach Roosevelt how to fly, the Secret Service quickly quashed that idea. Roosevelt and Earhart remained friends until the latter's disappearance in July of 1937, while attempting to become the first woman to complete a circumnavigational flight of the globe. Days earlier, the First Lady had written, quote, "All day I have been thinking of Amelia Earhart, somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, and hoping she will make her flight safely. She is one of the most fascinating people I know. She never seems to think that any of the things she does require any courage." After it was clear Earhart was lost, the First Lady concluded, quote, "I'm afraid there's no more encouraging news to be hoped for about Amelia Earhart. And as much as I hate to acknowledge defeat, I think we will have to accept what now seems to be a certainty, that she is added to the list of people who have lost their lives in the interest of adventure and science." Roosevelt's fascination with flight never ebbed, and she would later travel much of the world in Guess Where To, a C-87 Liberator Express heavy bomber converted into a VIP luxury passenger transport for the president's use. One of several aircraft used to ferry the president around the world, early prototypes for what would later be dubbed Air Force One. Eleanor Roosevelt also brought national attention to the Tuskegee Airmen, the now famous group of African-American military pilots and airmen who were forbidden from flying fighters in combat because of the color of their skin. While visiting their training field, Roosevelt said snarkily, "I've always heard colored people can't fly, but I see them flying around here." Against the advice of her government handlers, the free-spirited Roosevelt asked for a flight and spent an hour in the skies over Alabama in a Piper Cub with the Tuskegee Institute's chief instructor, pilot Charles Alfred Anderson. She later advocated on the Tuskegee's behalf with her husband, ensuring they were accepted for combat missions. They went on to become some of the most successful and decorated airmen of World War II. Stay curious, my friends.